Welcome to the Whoa podcast about horses and horsemanship. I'm John Hare, and you've found the place where we talk horses. Today we're diving into the world of youth rodeo and how it's making a positive impact. I had the opportunity to visit a local youth rodeo and see firsthand how it's bringing kids closer to the sport and to their faith. I remember the day my farrier invited me to help out at a steer riding clinic for the local youth rodeo a few years ago. I wasn't sure what to expect, but as soon as I arrived, I knew I was in for a treat. The energy was contagious, and the kids were having a blast. I got to see firsthand how rodeo is teaching these kids important skills like teamwork, sportsmanship, and resilience. It was such a fun experience for me to be around the kids and the animals, and I felt honored to be a part of it. What really struck me about the rodeo was that it was an outreach of the Cowboy Church that is next to the stables. I chatted with Pastor Randy Gaffner, and he shared with me the benefits of exposing children to the sport of rodeo. He believes that it not only teaches the kids important life skills, but it also helps to build their faith and connect them to the community. We're at the home of Randy Gaffner. He is the pastor of the Cowboy Church at Rancho, but he's also in charge of the Bakersfield Youth Rodeo Association. I wanted to come over and talk to Randy about youth rodeo today. Good morning, Randy. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
And tell us a little bit about your background. Where'd you grow up? How did you kind of get to where you are today?
Well, I'll have to really give you the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, we're both kind of old. It could be a long book, huh?
Grew up in a little town north of here called Wasco. We raised horses and had a feed lot. We also started running cattle up in the mountains. So I basically grew up on a ranch, started riding when I was 3, and basically ridden all my life. I'm 73 now. My hobby in high school, rather than playing baseball or football, I was a team roper. I just went all around team roping because that's kind of what I grew up doing, and helping neighbors and with their brandings, dragging calves and stuff. So that's kind of my upbringing. And then as I got older and moved out on my own, got more into the cow-calf deal because I just enjoyed that part of it and being in the mountains and stuff. And then being a small rancher, just couldn't hardly make it. You can't. The old saying is the only successful rancher's one that has a wife has a job in town. So about 20 years ago, I just had to sell out and became a real estate appraiser and was doing that. And then about 8 years ago, through a set of circumstances, started becoming a co-pastor at this cowboy church. And then 3 years later, the pastor died. So I'm looking around and all of a sudden I'm the pastor. Well, that led us to this youth rodeo. About a year or so, it was about 2015-ish, maybe midway through 2015. We just had an idea that, we need some type of outreach. And we were right there and we had the arenas right next to our church building. And so we started the Bakersfield Youth Rodeo Club. And I think 2016 was probably our first full year. And it's just grown each year since then. So that's in a nutshell how it got started.
You guys started it from scratch. It wasn't already going, and you just picked it up, huh?
Yeah, we started and came up with a name and became a 401c3 nonprofit. It's our main outreach for our cowboy church. The Bakersfield Youth Rodeo Club is a separate nonprofit. The church is separate from it. It's its own 501c3.
And you guys have some beautiful arenas. They're like 150 by 300 feet or something. There's 2 of them. And when you have a junior rodeo, you do those once a month, right?
Yeah, the second Saturday of each month, and we use both arenas, yeah.
And what made you think that rodeo was important?
Well, because of our Western culture. We're kind of a unique church. We're very non-traditional. We're not affiliated with any denomination. We're just Bible-based, and we just felt the need for the country kids, and even ones that aren't, that had an interest in animals. It would be a good outlet for them, and so we tried it. And we just thought, well, let's try it and see what happens. And it just grew each year, leaps and bounds, because a lot of kids are drawn to that. And I'm sure the majority of our kids were, unfamiliar with animals at all. But they had an interest and came, and I've got a couple of nice old horses that I let them use. The ones that don't have a horse, their parent will either lead line them or when they get old enough, they'll start on their own. And we've got a young gal that started on my horse, had never ridden, and she now has the last 3 years has gone to the national finals barrel racing.
Wow.
So it's that type of thing. That's our main outreach at our church. That's our main ministry is the youth rodeo. And a number of people that have come over the years to the youth rodeo now attend our church, and it's just been a neat thing to watch.
Very cool. And and I volunteer when I can and help out at the rodeo. And I see kids of all ages. What's the youngest kid that you have there?
We have some that are 2 years old.
Is that right?
Yeah. Their parents sit them up on that saddle, and one parent will hold the leg, and the other one will lead the horse. Yeah.
And the mutton busting is always pretty good too.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. And there are a lot of ranch kids. It's great Bakersfield is a metropolitan area, but there's a lot of ranches in the outlying areas. And those kids get an opportunity to take the skills that they learn on their own ranch and start putting them to practice as well.
Right. Yep.
How do you think, as I was driving over here, I was trying to think about what kind of questions to ask you. And I always kind of wondered about the sport of rodeo versus, some kids doing soccer or baseball or something. How do you see perhaps those? Are they the same? Are they different? How do you see those?
What comes to my mind is the camaraderie. At least nowadays, it was different when I was a kid, but nowadays when you see the average soccer team, baseball team, youth football, there are exceptions, but the majority, it's all about the competition and let's get out there and win. And I can just speak for our rodeo. We've learned from our folks that are part of our club that we're the only youth rodeo in California that concentrates on beginning, on just starting. If you don't know anything, you're comfortable at our rodeo because we're not goal-oriented as far as making you the fastest and the best.
Right.
We want to teach them the basics and love them through it, and have patience. And that's what we're kind of known for up and down the state now, is that we're the one that takes our time with them, and people appreciate that. Each month I get parents come to me and compliment how they appreciate our patience and the fact we're working with them because they're just starting. Some of them will even say, we've been to other ones and we just felt like we were bothering them.
Right.
And so I think that's what makes us stand out.
It really is a family atmosphere out there. It's just amazing, all the people that help. I know the two guys that run Tinoco Bulls, they come out there and they're doing some of the steer riding stuff for you.
Yeah, and they help us out.
And they come out and they help. And then it's just a family kind of a deal. There's kids running everywhere. It's it's pretty fun experience if my listeners haven't had a chance to see some of that rodeo. What events do you do in junior rodeo?
Well, starting with the mutton busting, that's anybody that weighs less than 70 pounds. It's not good. Doesn't go by age; it goes by weight. And then we have the young, what we call the littles, the young ones, and they'll do all the other events, and a lot of them are lead line. That's 4 to 9 years old, but they'll do the barrel racing, pole bending, big T, and then the older 3 categories from 11 on up to 19 do those same events. But also we have team roping and steer stopping, breakaway, and we started last year with family team roping. In other words, some kids come there and they don't have a partner, but they've got a dad or an uncle or a grandpa, and we'll allow them to, and they don't. That's kind of a separate deal. They don't gain points for the year for that, but it's just so they can get the experience.
Yes, I kind of like that about your setup too. You have them once a month, but some months, aren't they just like family days? They're not accumulating points at that point?
Just one. We have what we call our Family Fun Day in July. Because it's hot, we shorten the day, and it's not the same format at all, but it's members only. If you're a member of the club, you come and we just do 3 fun events. We do what's called double barrel race, which the student, the child and a parent or an adult ride each on their own horse and go around the barrels. And then the same thing with the big T. And then the other one is, I I think it's the poles. Don't quote me now. I should have done my homework better. But anyway, but also, and then the last event is the cowhide race, which I implemented because we used to do that as a kid. You know, I've got this old cowhide I dried, and the kid stands at the end of the arena with holding the rope connected to the cowhide, and the adult, the parent or grandparent or whatever, rides down. The kid hands him the rope. They dally up. The kid jumps on the cowhide, and they run back for time. So, and that's always the favorite.
I haven't seen that. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
And so you bring up an interesting point. On your regular days, on your regular junior rodeo days, you don't have to be a member of the
No,
association.
you can just come for the day. You know, it's $40. You come ride for the day. All the events, you can ride them all for $40.
A flat fee.
Yeah, flat fee.
Oh, very
and
cool.
then to join, though, it's $40 to join for the year. So we have very few that don't do that because
Right.
it doesn't make sense, you know. And then it's if you're a member, you've paid your $40 for the year for a child. If you have a second child, each additional charge is only $20, and they're all joined for the year. And then as you come next month, your fee for the day is $20 per kid to ride all the events. We're by far the cheapest in the state too, but we're not in it to make money. You know, we're a nonprofit, and we try to have everything go for the kids. And each year it's been neat to watch how we've accumulated a little bit of money, and we put it mostly to the rewards. This last year, the first place in each age group got us a brand new saddle.
Oh, wow.
So that's and they got to order. Got a gift certificate. Got to order the saddle however they wanted it. You know, and it really went over well.
Wow, I bet it did. And your first rodeo is coming up in March?
March 11th. It's every one is the second Saturday of the month.
Very cool. And
March through November.
so I've seen goat tying. I've seen, is that called steer riding? When so it's kind of like bull riding, but they
just beginner bull riding.
Yeah, exactly. And those kids are, what's impressed me about it is that, it's been a long time since I was 10 years old, but I couldn't imagine myself walking up into that chute and climbing on one of those animals. Those kids are pretty brave for that.
Well, that's the thing. Like you said, you grew up in the city, but like growing up on a ranch, it's all in the culture. You know what I mean? And I was riding bucking horses when I was 8, but not because I was breaking them and they bucked, not because it was competition,
Have you had any, I know there's going to be some concerned parents out there. Have you had any problems with injuries or anything happening to the youngsters out there?
We've had a few knocks here and there, but for 8 years we had never called an ambulance. I think it was last year we did have a parent take a child because they thought maybe she had a broken shoulder or arm, but it ended up not. It was smashed, but... So, God's protected us, no doubt about it.
Very good. And all the kids are wearing professional protective gear. They've got helmets and vests.
We provide, for the mutton busting, we provide helmets and vests. And then some of the parents provide helmets for some of the contestants. Most of them don't. They're just old school.
That's their choice.
Yeah, it's their choice. Yeah, you bet.
If people want to find out more information about the Bakersfield Youth Rodeo Association, or maybe look at one in there, how would you guide them into getting started in that?
Well, the best, if you just want information, the best one is just look up Bakersfield Youth Rodeo Club on Facebook. That's the most information. Or they can call me.
All right.
I can give you the number. Yeah.
And you can put it out, and then I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Okay, it's 661-303-9299, and I'm Randy.
Cool. And a couple of other things about, because you're out at, I enjoy riding out at Rancheria. Thank you very much for that. You guys are helping the Bakersfield College rodeo team as well. We interviewed them last year. They were looking for an arena to use, and you guys stepped in. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the Bakersfield College rodeo team.
Well, they called and asked if they could come over and talk, and informed me that the venue they were working with was going to charge them a whole lot of money and they couldn't afford it. And I just said, well, you're welcome to come here. We'll support you. And that's how it happened in a nutshell. And so they had their first event, I think, like you said, last September-ish. It was a breakaway, and they were really successful. And they want to start doing at least once a month different competitions here. And so we'll see how it works, but we want to support them all we can.
So they're getting fired up because they've got your youth rodeo, which is going to probably feed them. Is there a high school rodeo group in town? Do you know?
No, and see, the interesting thing, some of the gals that came through our rodeo are now members of that. They're going to BC, and they came up through our rodeo. Now they're going to BC because ours goes through high school.
Yeah, right. So, but there is no high school competition levels now.
No.
I wonder how that works, because I know there's a high school rodeo championships out there.
Oh, sure,
too, right?
yeah. Just I guess not enough interest, maybe.
And what do you think the kids take away most out of being part of the junior rodeo?
Well, our hope is that they'll a number of things. They'll learn how each event operates, but also, most importantly to me, sportsmanship and camaraderie, animal husbandry. As an old cowboy, I bite my tongue a lot because I see a lot of folks there that mean well, but they don't. Their curb strap will be way too tight or hanging loose, or the bit will be backwards, and I try to, as gently as I can, help them all I can. And half the time they thank me, and the other half you can tell they're insulted that I thought they didn't know what they were doing. So it's really hard for an old cowboy that's been around to.
But that's all part of the educational process.
It is, and
right?
some of them appreciate it,
And have you thought about doing clinics and stuff like that to help those kids
and we've
out?
done a few. We're going to be doing more.
Yeah.
But the ones we've done have been successful. That's one area we need to step up and do more of, though. It's just a matter, all our folks running that are volunteers.
Yes,
and so it's a lot to ask them to do once a month, so much less,
right.
Take another Saturday or something. But we're talking more about that, to do more of those. And the most successful one we had was, I shouldn't say that. Two of them was the goat tying and the steer riding. Those were helpful.
Yeah, I helped the one with Sean
Okay.
McRoberts.
Yeah.
I helped out with that.
We'll do more. It just takes that's a whole nother set of organizational things you have to do.
Right. And you just kind of you're still building. It's still kind of
we're evolving
a
still.
new thing.
Yep,
So.
that's right.
It was great seeing the kids out there last year. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Randy, and I hope people will want to expose their children to more of this stuff. My wife and I don't have any kids, but one of the things that I notice out there is that all the kids are very, very polite.
Yeah.
They're very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
They just have such great manners. It's
Great
really,
attitudes.
Great attitudes, right? And they help each other. When somebody's getting ready, there's just all the kids are helping each other get ready and kind of pump them up to get on the.
And the parents are wonderful too. They show their appreciation by just jumping in and helping.
Yeah.
Or coming asking, what can I do to help? Because they're appreciative of what we're doing, and that really makes it run more smoothly too. Because sometimes we're short of help.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I would encourage folks, you don't have to come out to compete. Just come out and check us out and see what's happening, on a Saturday, second Saturday of any month, and just to see what we're about. You can just, as a spectator, there's no charge to be a spectator.
Park, right? Yeah. Yeah, and there's plenty of parking out there.
Yeah.
There's a great little cafe and grill. You can have lunch and watch the kids barrel race or do...
Visit Cowboy Cafe. Yeah, it's good food.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it.
You betcha. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Woe Podcast. Thanks to Randy Gaffner for his time and his insights. If you're interested in getting involved in a youth rodeo group in your area, I'll have the link to the Bakersfield group at woepodcast.com. Be sure to check out Bakersfield Youth Rodeo on Facebook. There are a lot of great photos. If you have any show ideas or suggestions for future guests, don't hesitate to reach out to me at john@woepodcast.com or connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram under the name Woe Podcast. Thanks for listening and sharing the podcast with your friends and riding buddies. Until next time, for Renee, this is John Hare saying, go have some fun with your horses. Bye-bye, everybody.